What if I told you one of rock's biggest ballads of the 80s was a song the band was afraid to release? They wrote a heartfelt tune for a teenage sister, shot to number 5 on the charts, and then it completely destroyed them. The song that made them superstars also turned their record label against them and forced them to break up just to escape it. Here's how Night Ranger's biggest hit became their biggest curse.
Like, subscribe, thank you.
So let's talk about a guy named Kelly Kiggy. He's a drummer, a singer, and he's got a little sister back home in Oregon named Christy. It's the early 80s, and Christy is a teenager doing teenage stuff. Cruising around town in her car with her friends, looking for boys, just living that American graffiti life. They called it motoring. It's that weird time when you're not a kid anymore, but you're definitely not an adult. You're just motoring. And Kelly, watching his little sister grow up so fast from a tour bus window, gets an idea for a song. He's worried about her, about the choices she's making, the speed at which she's leaving childhood behind. So he scribbles down some lyrics about her, about being on the edge of womanhood, about the innocence and the danger of it all, and he calls it Sister Christy. Brings it to his band, a San Francisco rock outfit called Night Ranger. The other guys in the band, bassist Jack Blades, the two guitar gods Brad Gillis and Jeff Watson, hear it, and they know it's a damn good song. A great song. But there's a problem. It's a ballad. A slow, emotional, piano-driven power ballad. Night Ranger, or a rock band. A twin guitar attack. Loud, crunchy hard rock band. They're forged in the San Francisco music scene that absolutely despised them. In the late 70s and early 80s, the Bay Area was all about punk rock and new wave. Clubs like Mabuhay Gardens and others like that were the epicenters of cool. Bands with spiky hair and jagged wrists were the kings. Along comes this group with long hair, tight pants, and a sound that was pure, unapologetic arena rock. They're a throwback, and the scene treated them like they're just old hat. Night Ranger's journey started from the ashes of a whacked out and spectacular failure called Rubicon. Jack Blades and Brad Gillis had been members of the 17-piece funk rock orchestra, led by Jerry Martini of Sly and the Family Stone. It was wild, over-the-top spectacle with a horn section, multiple singers. They actually had a minor hit, signed to a major label, and played the legendary Cal Jam 2 festival in '78. But the whole thing was too damn big, too expensive, and too weird to last. It collapsed under its own weight, leaving Blades and Gillis broke and stranded. But it taught them a lesson. They wanted to be an lean, mean, 5-piece rock and roll band. No more horns or funk, just lots of guitars. And so they linked up with Kelly Kiggy and keyboardist Alan Fitzgerald and started a band called Stereo. They knew they needed a second guitarist to achieve the kind of dueling lead sound that they heard in bands like Thin Lizzy and Wishbone Ash. Enter Jeff Watson. This dude was a local legend known for a completely unique guitar style. You had Eddie Van Halen popularizing two-hand tapping, and Watson took it another level, doing 8-finger tapping, using all the fingers of his right hand to play those complex piano-like arpeggios in the guitar neck. He was a technical wizard. Perfect mad science to complement Brad Gillis' more in-your-face, bluesy, whammy bar crazed style. And this twin guitar attack became the absolute foundation of their sound. And then in March of 1982, tragedy created an insane opportunity. Ozzy Osbourne's brilliant young guitar player Randy Rhoads was killed in a plane crash. I covered that in great detail. But Ozzy was devastated, but the tour had to continue. Sharon Osbourne started making calls looking for a guitar player who could step into these impossible shoes. Bernie Torme filled in for a couple weeks, but didn't quit. The call then went to Brad Gillis. So he flew to New York, auditioned, got the gig of a lifetime. The pressure was unimaginable. He had to learn all of Randy's iconic solos, note for note, to honor his memory for the grieving fans. He was playing with a rock god in sold-out arenas. The band recorded the live album Speak of the Devil at the Ritz in New York. A blistering set of Sabbath and Ozzy solo classics with Gillis flawlessly recreating Rhodes' parts. He was on top of the world, and then he quit. He walked away from all of it because his buddies back in San Francisco had finally landed a record deal for their little rock band. He gambled everything on them. And they had signed with Boardwalk Records, a new label started by the legendary music mogul Neil Bogart, the man who founded Casablanca Records and gave the world Kiss and Donna Summer. And they changed their name to Ranger and pressed 10,000 copies of their debut album Dawn Patrol and were ready to go. But then there were two problems. First, a country band called the Rangers threatened to sue. So Jack Blades looked at the album cover, saw the song title Night Ranger, and said, I guess that's our name now. The second problem was bigger. Neil Bogart, the visionary who signed them, died of cancer. And Boardwalk Records went bankrupt almost overnight. So the album was in limbo. The career was dead before it even started. But their manager, the legendary Bill Graham, helped land them a new deal with a major label, MCA Records. Dawn Patrol was finally released in 1982. And the first single, Don't Tell Me You Love Me, was a perfect showcase of their sound. Freaking driving guitar riff, huge chorus, and that killer trade-off solo between Gillis and Watson. Freaking insane guitar solos. A new TV channel called MTV, desperate for content, put the video in heavy rotation. Night Ranger had a freaking hit. They're on their way. Certified guitar-slinging rock act. So when Keaggy brought them this beautiful, heartfelt power ballad he wrote for his sister, they panicked. This was not for them. This wasn't the sound that they had fought so hard to establish. They were terrified of losing their hard-won rock credibility. And so they made a crucial decision. They actually finished the song, but they left it off the album. Too risky. They were a rock band, and damn it, they were going to rock. So their second album, Midnight Madness, came out in '83, and it opened with You Could Still Rock in America, that defiant, chest-thumping anthem that became their mission statement. Big, huge fuck you to punk and new wave scenes that had rejected them. The album was full of loud guitars, drums were just pounding, and it was a hit. The album went platinum. By the summer of '84, Night Ranger was headlining arenas. They had actually done it. They were a big shot rock band on their own terms. And they figured, all right, well, now is safe. Maybe now the fans will know who we are. Maybe we could release that ballad. So they tweaked the title from Sister Christy to Sister Christian because it just sounded better when sung. And folks, if you ever wondered if Sister Christian could ever be scary, just watch Boogie Nights. So they put it out as a single from the album, and the world went absolutely freaking insane. Sister Christian was a cultural phenomenon, zeitgeist moment. Every single lighter and every arena went up. It was the last slow dance at every prom, first dance at every wedding. The video with its earnest, small-town story was on MTV every hour. The song rocketed up the charts, getting stuck at number 5, held off the top spot only by Prince's mega hit When Doves Cry, but it was everywhere. Just like that, Night Ranger went from being a successful rock band to global superstars. Rod Gillis remembers driving up to a 7,000-seat arena and seeing the words Night Ranger sold out, and knowing it was all because of that one song. The song that they were once afraid to release. Jack Blades was like, man, it was a gift from God, a milestone, but it was also a millstone, a curse disguised as a blessing. Because once the record label, MCA, tasted that sweet, sweet crossover pop success, that's all they wanted. Like giving a shark a taste of blood. The band turned in their next album, 1985's 7 Wishes, and they made sure it was packed with the kind of rockers their fans expected. But the label execs just flipped to the tracks, going, hey, where is our ballad? They found Sentimental Street, another emotional, Keaggy-sung power ballad. Great, that was the single. Shot to number 8. The label followed it up, not with a rocker, but with a mid-tempo 4 in the Morning, which hit number 19, and then the acoustic-tinged Goodbye, which hit number 17. The album sold millions, going triple platinum. But a dangerous pattern was emerging. The rock songs, the core of their identity, were being ignored in favor of the softer stuff, and the band was getting pigeonholed. As Brad Gillis famously put it, we weren't against ballads, but we didn't want to become known as a ballad band. That's how you become Air Supply. And the pressure became immense. For the next album, Big Life in 1987, the label didn't even ask. They brought in super producer David Foster, the undisputed king of the slick, adult, contemporary power ballad. This was the guy who produced Chicago's massive comeback ballads. The message from MCA was clear. Forget the rock stuff, give us those goddamn ballads. And the studio sessions became a battleground. The band tried to write up-tempo songs to push their guitar-driven sound, but the label and Foster fought them at every turn. The lead single was The Secret of My Success, a song that they wrote for a Michael J. Fox movie. It was polished, poppy, safe, stalled at number 64 on the charts. The band were openly arguing with MCA, just begging them to release some of their heavier songs, and the label refused. They said, no, we want another ballad. So Hearts Away. It was a passionate song, but it failed to connect, peaking at a miserable number 90. And their Big Life album was their first to not even go gold. The magic was gone. The rock audience, confused, and the pop audience had moved on. Keyboardist Alan Fitzgerald, an original member, saw the writing on the wall. He saw his role was shrinking, and as the band was trying fruitlessly to re-emphasize their guitar sound. And so, in 1988, he's like, I'm out of here. So now at 4-piece, they went into the studio to record Man in Motion. They were desperate to get back to their roots, the sound of Dawn Patrol. But MCA were still in charge. Once again, they ignored the harder edge songs the band believed in, and this time the label didn't even trust them to write their own hit. they brought in a song from an outside writer, Russ Ballard's I Did It for Love. Forcing a band to record an outside ballad was the ultimate slap in the face. It meant the label had zero faith in them. Even a cameo from actress Morgan Fairchild in the music video could not save it. The single and the album were commercial disasters. The band's favorite tracks, songs like Restless Kind, were never even given a chance. And at this point, the band was just fried, burnout. They've been touring, recording nonstop for the better part of a decade, and now they're fighting a losing battle against their own record company, all because of the massive success of one song they never wanted to release in the first place. They became victims of their own formula. As one critic put it, MCA saw the tune top the charts and immediately categorized Night Ranger as a power ballad group. Gillis said we'd have 9 rock songs, and they'd pick the ballad every time. The fun was gone. It was just a job, and a depressing one at that by that point. Jack Blades was the first to say that it wasn't working anymore. In 1989, after a tour opening for Kansas, Night Ranger broke up. No farewell tour, dramatic announcement, they just walked away. They had to quit to save themselves from becoming a parody, a hit-chasing machine that had lost its rock and roll soul. The biggest song in their career had effectively ended their career. It was a good run, but it was over. The curse of Sister Christian had won.